systemic inflammation and how many chronic diseases are out there that are inflammatory and oftentimes are traced back to the gut, or they can be traced back to the gut.
Yeah, absolutely. When you first, like, as a provider, learn about these things and the root causes, and once it's laid out, it seems so obvious, right? But like, I don't think necessarily like we can blame our primary care providers and we can blame those people that like they're doing us a disservice. They just don't know. We didn't know. We didn't get the training. And so, but I definitely think there's something to be said about the providers who are more open to like learning and listening. Because it doesn't have to be a life sentence and it doesn't have to be something that you have to go on medication for the rest of your life. And like kind of going back to what you're saying about like the acid reflux and stuff like that, like what's the root cause of that? You know, everything is kind of happening for a reason. And so let's like dive into it rather than just masking a symptom. Cause you're probably going to be on it for the rest of your life if all we're going to do is just like put a Band-Aid on it. Welcome to the True Body Podcast. This is technically our first one. It's going to be me and you. I'm going to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Betsey and Ethan. I'm a PA at True Body. I'm the owner of True Body. Focus is mainly on wellness, functional medicine, hormones, peptides, basically everything preventative. And I have Ethan here, who's the other PA at True Body. I've known Ethan for quite a while, actually. He was a student under me. And honestly, one of the most impressive students I had. I was a preceptor for quite a few. So he's one that stuck out. And so it definitely kept track of him over the years. And I'm so glad that he is close to home and decided to join the team. But I'll let him kind of tell a little bit more about himself.
Yeah, my name is Ethan Ducharme. I'm a PA as well. I've been in primary care for a few years now, but having just kept in touch with Betsey quite a bit, was definitely interested in the functional medicine, preventative route of medicine, I guess. And yeah, when she called me last fall,
Yeah.
I was definitely excited about the opportunity. So I've been working with True Body for quite a few months now, but I'm actually going full time starting in July.
Yeah.
So excited about that. Really excited about that. Yeah.
Yes, we are very excited.
Great opportunity, and I don't know. Finally, feels like I'm doing something that I'm truly passionate about, which is
you feel a little bit more fulfilled. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did primary care, for 9 years and always thought I was doing a good job and always thought like, this is medicine. This is what I went to school for. I'm helping people. And then in my case, I was the patient and I wasn't taken very good care of. And I realized that that's what I was doing to other people. And so that kind of like spiraled me down this like preventative and how can I like sit with patients for longer and not somebody tell me like, you need to be in a room for 15 minutes and you have to prescribe these medications and you want to make the visits more complex and all these different things on revenue, just kind of building money for this machine and never really caring about the patient. And so, you kind of get into this like new mindset and it just sparks that love for medicine again that you kind of didn't know existed. But now there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you would agree.
Yeah, no, that's well said. I think the biggest thing is, or one of the biggest things I think of is, are people feeling better? Seeing in primary care, you're seeing a lot of people every 3 months or, 2 times a year. And usually you're walking in with bad news. Blood pressure's getting worse. Blood sugar is going up. And we have a whole list of meds, but are people feeling better? And typically the answer is going to be no. But you're going back to like the being fulfilled when, at True Body, when we're seeing somebody and maybe you saw them 3 months ago and you ask them, how are you feeling? And their eyes light up and it's like, I feel great. This is better. Whatever symptoms I was having, they're a lot better. Might not be perfect yet, but like a big step in the right direction. That's what we want,
Yeah.
both as a patient and a provider.
Which is crazy because I felt like in a traditional space, it's kind of ingrained into us as a patient that like we should walk away with a pill. Like we should walk away with something. That's our prize for going. I'm not going to go to the doctor if they don't give me an antibiotic for this sore throat, and I'm going to be pissed if I don't. And as a provider, you feel that pressure, but then also as a patient, I mean, I was a provider and a patient, and I thought the same thing. Like, God, who's working today? Should I go into the urgent care? Are they going to give me something? So you have a total different mind shift when you're in the wellness space because you're truly like, what can we get you off of? Do you love that antidepressant? Do you really need that antidepressant? And kind of like talking through people's symptoms, like that may not have been the reason why they went on it in the first place. And yeah, it's a very different mindset. And a lot of our patients who are coming to see us have that in mind. They want to get off things. But some of them you're training them too. Like, hey, you are on these blood pressure medications. Let's go through your history. And it may not be safe depending on what's going on removing some of those drugs. But they're also like, when they figure out they can, like, wait, I could get off of this statin. I could get off of my blood pressure meds. No one's ever said that to me before. And you're really just kind of like retraining that brain, just like we had to retrain our own. And that's also super exciting too, because you're just opening up this world they didn't even think was possible. They came here to feel better, not necessarily thinking like, I'm going to actually get off of some of this stuff. Yeah, no, I think that's, it's been a learning journey for, I think, our patients and us for sure.
Definitely. What I kind of find funny is I'll see a lot of people, I mean, males and females, that they'll say, I don't like going to the doctor. And they're like, almost apologetic about it.
Yeah.
And number one, there's probably a reason why, because they're either getting bad news or not feeling better. But also they want to avoid medications or avoid, being told, hey, you need to take something for this. You need, to take something for that. But why? What do I have that needs a medication? Why do I need that medication? Is there something I can be? I think the first question, before a medication, before starting a med, should be, well, what can I do to avoid it? What can I do before taking that? And again, as you were saying, that's just ingrained. We are very good at we as in primary care, I guess, traditional primary care, are very good at treating a disease. Right. But when it comes to preventing, I mean,
we don't got a clue.
I don't know about your schooling, but we didn't spend a whole lot of time on that, unfortunately.
Zero.
So definitely just a complete different frame of mind or way of thinking.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
Is refreshing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think our patients definitely would agree, and just like the education on that, because they've never heard that before, and just walking them through like the different types of wellness and preventative care, and that it's not all drug related, and sometimes not lifestyle related. There's just so much more to it, which kind of is great for our topic that we want to talk about for like gut health, because I never learned about gut health in the way I know it now and the way I've learned it now. If someone had a gut issue, we sent them to GI, and GI would do a colonoscopy. They just strip them of everything and just go look with a scope and kind of see what's going on. So I kind of want to touch on like, what is gut health when we're talking to patients, and what does it look like and how important it is. And obviously, one of the big things I think that we both learned when looking at gut health is like, it's more than just bloating and constipation and diarrhea. Like, it affects your inflammation, affects your skin, affects your mental health, your anxiety, affects autoimmune, potential, affects a lot of different things. And I just don't think really anybody thinks that when they think of their gut. We talk a lot about hormones, we talk a lot about exercise, we talk a lot about peptides and stuff, but what are your thoughts on just like when you bring up gut health, what's like the first thing like someone says? Like, are they shocked?
I think so. I think for that reason, because the most common thing we would see in traditional primary care is something related to reflux, nausea, heartburn. And it's like, you're going to be put on a PPI. But then we don't, PPI meaning, omeprazole, pantoprazole, Prilosec, but we don't talk about, kind of the long-term implications of that. It's, hey, you're going to be put on it, and how long? I don't know. We'll see. It's either that or, yeah, I'm having bloating, diarrhea, constipation, great colonoscopy. Whether you're 30 or 60 or somewhere in between. So I think when, you're talking to patients about gut health and educating them that the symptoms they're having, again, are not normal, but then the importance of gut health for everything from hormones, energy, mood, immunity. I mean, it really just kind of opens a whole new world for them.
Yeah, they kind of don't believe us, They're really just kind of shocked that I would even consider their gut. Like, wait, we're talking about my Hashimoto's and my thyroid right now, but we're gonna like segue into my gut. What? Why? Yeah, and like, yeah, I would never have done that in a traditional sense. Never even thought of probably doing that, to be honest with you. Would have never even crossed my mind that, inflammation could be caused from the gut when that's really where we should have started.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. My patients are typically like, I don't know who you think you're talking to now, but I'm still here and we were just talking about something else. Yeah.
And not to get too off course, but when you brought up Hashimoto's, I mean, how common that is, how often we see it. I never learned, potentially dairy, gluten, different, processed food in general, how that can impact the thyroid. I mean, that was news to me, and seeing the importance of that. And when people get told, hey, I have Hashimoto's, it's basically told to them like you're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, this is a life sentence.
And yeah, outside of medication, can't do much about it, which is the complete opposite of what we actually can do. So just kind of that systemic inflammation and how many chronic diseases are out there that are inflammatory and oftentimes are traced back to the gut, or they can be traced back to the gut.
Yeah, absolutely. When you first, like, as a provider, learn about these things and the root causes, and once it's laid out, it seems so obvious, right? But like, also when they first say it, you're just like, man, how many people have I just ruined because I didn't know, what I was doing. And so I don't think necessarily like we can blame our primary care providers and we can blame those people that like they're doing us a disservice. They just don't know. We didn't know. We didn't get the training.
Absolutely.
And so, but I definitely think there's something to be said about the providers who are more open to like learning and listening. Because it doesn't have to be a life sentence and it doesn't have to be something that you have to go on medication for the rest of your life. And like kind of going back to what you're saying about like the acid reflux and stuff like that, like what's the root cause of that? Everything is kind of happening for a reason. And so let's like dive into it rather than just masking a symptom. Cause you're probably going to be on it for the rest of your life if all we're going to do is just like put a Band-Aid on it. Let's talk about kind of like the different kind of things that we see with gut and kind of what it affects. Like we just talked about autoimmune, which is huge. A lot of the enzymes in our body that convert into other molecules and those cascades happen within the gut. So if our gut isn't healthy and those junctions aren't tight and we're getting leakage or irritation, that's not going to happen. And that's going to just travel elsewhere, whether that's, an enzyme that eventually affects the brain or the thyroid or the ovaries or the skin or whatever the case is. It's just not going to get there. And that's just a super interesting connection that I think patients just need a little bit more education on. And so just simply sitting down and talking to them about how that actually works is huge. When someone comes in with like skin stuff, like the psoriasis and the eczemas and stuff like that, like where does your head go first?
Now, like knowing what I know now, it's kind of looking at the inflammation pathways, like what other symptoms are we having? These eczema flares, is it every now and then, or is it chronic and has been chronic? And then kind of taking a deep dive into the inflammation side of things, and oftentimes it is the gut. whether it's they will notice that certain foods or once you really start to dive into it, certain foods or just kind of how they're eating has a pretty big impact on on those flares that we're talking about. So again, just kind of educating them that this is not a skin only issue. Oftentimes it's internal, and you have to kind of peel back the layers and figure out exactly why and how we go about treating that.
We're not just going to do a topical steroid or a topical this or a topical that or an oral steroid. It's truly that. It's like, what is triggering you, and let's figure that out, because that's obviously like the problem. But again, that's like a whole educational piece, because they're like, well, I just have this like patch. Can't you just like give me a cream? Like, I just need a cream. And sometimes that is necessary. I'm not saying it's not, but yeah, it's amazing what just avoiding those inflammatory foods, the glutens and the dairies and the sugar and the caffeine and the alcohol can really like do just adjust the skin.
Absolutely. The foods that you listed, are they always bad? No. But if somebody, not for everybody, but if somebody is coming in and we're going down the list of symptoms and they're like, yep, that's me, it's probably where we need to start. It's at least a low-hanging fruit that should be addressed. I guess is how I approach it.
And it's so simple. It's so simple. When you mention like, hey, we can do a food sensitivity on you, and we can literally just like prick your finger, send it off, and it'll come back and it'll show us over 200 plus foods that, and things, condiments, whatever, drinks, that you might be sensitive to. And it's not saying that the ones that get those results, they can't ever have those foods or ingredients ever again, but it's like right now, your gut is pissed off. And if we can just like figure out how to remove those things, like it's a simple test. And they're like, wait, I can just do that. Like, no one's offered that before.
Yeah.
That's like not a blood test. Like, hang on a second. You don't have to like, I don't have to go back, and you guys don't have to like prick my skin for like allergy testing and like things like, it's like, no. This is like right now, right in this moment, what is triggering your gut inflammation, and how we just remove that. It's basically the Band-Aid of the GI tract. And once that's fixed, it's mind blowing. Yeah, typically.
I'm glad you said that, because I think just having a patient realize that, hey, it turns out these foods or types of foods are causing my symptoms, like that's pretty empowering. And you can, you don't have to avoid them, but just simply being aware of them, and then you can have a plan, I guess, of how to cut back, limit, save them for, special occasion. It's just, again, after years, because usually this has not been going on for a couple weeks or months. This is typically a long time. You talk about making an impact on a patient, that's a very big deal.
Yeah, and the IgG, which is kind of like a delayed reaction, which is what we're looking for, is also pretty nuts, because most times when patients are doing it themselves and they're like, hey, I'm just gonna avoid, cheese, because when I eat this cheese, I know for sure I get this response right after, or I have to go to the bathroom right after. And then like, but sometimes when I don't eat cheese, it's like, just out of the blue, I'll get that same symptom. And it's like, well, there's a delayed reaction, and it might not be the cheese at all. It could be something totally different. And so when they get those results and like, oh, that's the thing, I didn't know. I had a gal who was like eating salads. I think I've told a couple patients about this story because I found it fascinating. She was like, my gut's really upset, and so I've just decided I'm just gonna eat salad with steak, salad with chicken, salad with whatever. And I was just kind of like hoping that it would get better. And she was like, but no matter what, it's still bad. And I cut down like my dressings, and like I just do like olive oil and vinegar. Like I don't put any seasonings on it. Like my protein is just bland, whatever. And we do the test, and it's like romaine lettuce. She was like, oh. And she was like, I just didn't think something healthy could be like causing my gut to be mad at me. And so it's like super empowering, because you just have an instant answer, and you're not having to try and like come up with this or like starve yourself trying to figure it out. But yeah, there's so many resources out there that we just don't do kind of in a traditional sense that can be worth it. But I think another empowering test is like micronutrients of your gut. Like, what are you actually absorbing? What are you not? I don't know, what your thoughts are when patients kind of do those things, but I found it it's kind of similar as far as that goes.
I don't know about you, but I feel like I see a lot of patients who are either taking a multivitamin or all these different vitamins because it feels like a good insurance policy, which I don't disagree with at all. But when we're kind of guessing at that point, but until we can actually see, hey, you are truly deficient in these, you have more than enough of these, and then you probably start cutting back on, what vitamins we are taking, paying attention more to certain foods we either, need to be eating more of. Again, just provides a lot more education than, just trying to add in different supplements here or there and kind of hope for the best.
And the patients who are like, man, my magnesium is like low, but I take magnesium every day. And so I was like, okay, well, that's probably a gut absorption issue. So like, let's figure out like, is your acid too high? Is it too low? Like, what does those things look like? And so like those micronutrients can be really helpful in that sense too, because they could be wasting their money in the sense of they're just taking these supplements and don't need them because they're already adequate, or they're taking these supplements and they're not even absorbing them. So there's like two sides to that. That's like super important just to know like what's kind of going on with you internally and what should you actually be spending your money on. I think another like helpful test for gut health would be like the GI map, and really looking at the viruses, the bacteria, the yeast, do they have worms, and parasites? They have like, what do their digestive enzymes look like? Sometimes like pairing all the tests together can be really helpful, but just that one can be powerful too. I had a gentleman who we simply just did that. That's all we did. That's all he chose to do. Financially, he was like, this is kind of where I want to start. And his only symptom, like he had kind of maybe some gut issues, maybe. He was like, I might have some acid reflux or whatnot. We kind of like worked on his hormones and did a lot of testosterone. We did a lot of different things with his hormones. But his main symptoms was like crippling anxiety, like driving down the road and just like had to pull over, like panic attacks for no reason. Couldn't like think of a trigger, anything. And so it was the GI map that we looked at. And it was just like, to be completely honest, like he had certain bacteria levels that just weren't adequate, but specifically like his bifidobacterium and things like that. And so for him, we kind of worked on like reestablishing those levels. And we didn't even think that like his anxiety would even be affected, right? We were just kind of like, hey, let's just look at this. Let's kind of see. And that like resolved itself 100%. And that to me was like, holy crap, this is way bigger than just like fixing someone's gut. This is like one bacteria, right?
And I don't think not every case will be that extreme,
right? Of
course,
right?
But for somebody, they just may want an answer to why am I having this bloating, nausea? Why am I having random bouts of diarrhea and I cannot figure it out? Getting to the bottom of those symptoms is truly impactful for a patient. And again, just the variety of different tests that we can do is pretty cool. I mean, just all the tools we have at our disposal is very helpful. Very helpful for us to help our patients, definitely.
Yeah, I'd agree. Things that like I said before wasn't taught, right? Wasn't taught. These are very complicated tests. First time I saw a GI map result, I was like, holy cripes.
You're scrolling and scrolling.
Yeah,
and scrolling.
I was like, whoa. Oh my gosh. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad. What is that? That's red. Lots of education. You can't just like look at a GI map or a food sensitivity or a micronutrient, to be completely honest, and just like know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So it does take like a lot of education and time to kind of be able to like decipher what's going on. And I'll say, like, it's not always perfect and it's not always like the right, first assessment, but man, it gives you a lot of detail and a lot of data on all the different things we could possibly do. But yeah, I don't know if you also had like a little bit of a shocker when you saw those, if your first.
I guess I don't know what I was expecting, but pages of information. Multiple pages. Again, I'm like you were saying, bacteria, fungi, viruses. You just go down the list, and had no idea we were able to look for that, and then everybody's results are going to be a little bit different, and then you can develop a specific treatment plan based off of what the results look like, what symptoms we're having, and blew me away with the results and what we can look at.
Do you think like hormones? Do you think like checking someone's gut and like figuring that out would be beneficial?
Definitely. And again, something else I didn't learn. Had no idea how important gut health is for estrogen metabolism. We can check somebody's levels, and estrogen levels might be okay. It might be, nothing off the charts or anything like that. But if they are not able to get the estrogen metabolites out through their gut, if the gut bacteria is not allowing that estrogen to be metabolized correctly and just get out of the body, it's going to recirculate. And then the symptoms are, estrogen dominance. We hear that a lot. And that's a big part of where it could be coming from. Somebody's, young female's hormones and the estrogen progesterone balance, and we need to get to the bottom of that. I think one of the first questions we need to be asking is what are their bowel movements like? What are their bowel habits like? And are we having symptoms there? Because that could be just a very important thing to make sure we're taking care of that side of things, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't know. It's just shocking how estrogen and kind of the GI system, not, two things I did not realize are so closely related or, kind of.
And like cortisol and like all those things, like you think about like when you get stressed, you feel it in your gut, like you're about to like perform or go to like a race or something, and you like your gut is like the first result of like, I'm nervous. And it's like all of those things, kind of just those enzymes, those pathways, those cascades. Things just, a lot of it happens in the gut. And when you understand it, when someone talks about it later, you're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. But like, it's just hard to connect those dots sometimes when you're not really looking for that. You weren't ever trained to do that. What are your thoughts on like probiotics, supplements for the gut?
There's a lot of supplements out there. I try to keep it pretty simple right away. Fiber, whether that's, food should be at the top of the list. Just trying to prioritize, single or very few ingredient foods with plenty of fiber throughout the day. It's just going to help the gut bacteria, help kind of regular bowel movements, which is important for a lot of different functions as we've talked about, or body systems as we talked about. But again, also probiotics and having the correct amount, correct kind of balance of the good gut bacteria. Our gut microbiome is a living, organism, basically. And if we're not feeding it correctly, that's going to cascade into a number of different problems. And a lot of the problems we've already talked about.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think, what are you putting in your body for sure? Like your nutrition, 100%. It's like kind of like the number one thing we talk about. I don't necessarily push like the FODMAP diet, if you will, but like if I'm worried about any sort of triggers, definitely like avoiding those instigating things like the dairies and the glutens, minimizing them, minimizing those things that might be irritative. But then, as far as like supporting them, I'm a firm believer that not all probiotics are created equal. And I think that, you need to get them from a reputable source for sure. Fiber, you can't say fiber enough, really. A lot of people are just super scared of fiber because it's going to like be crampy and bloaty and gassy and all those different things. And it's really just like, well, where are you getting your fiber?
Yeah.
What does that look like
Yeah.
to you? How much is that? Like, walking them through just like maybe slow and steady wins the race. Maybe we need to get you on like some really clean fiber supplements and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely like agree. I would say my biggest things and questions I get is like, what's the best cleanse I should do for my gut? What's the best detox I should do for my gut? And those are, they shouldn't be like laughable questions because I feel like just a lot of people have like, those are, that's just a real thing. Like people on TikTok, people everywhere are like, this is the cleanse, this is the juice that you should drink, you know, for forever. I don't know.
Well, it's not forever. They're telling you, you know, 3, 5, 7 days, and you know, all your problems are going to be
Gone.
fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sounds
I don't know.
amazing.
We might not have a job, I guess, if
Yeah.
that was a
case.
real thing for a lot of different areas of medicine. But yeah, it's just not that simple.
No.
It's a lot more complex,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I've never recommended detox.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Yeah. I
I don't
haven't
know what
either.
you're talking about down the hall, I guess, but yeah.
There's definitely ways that we can like cleanse the gut with supplements and nutrition and things like that. And it's pretty targeted, but there's not like a juice out there that I recommend. There's not like a fruit that I recommend just only eating for days. You know, there's just not, those aren't real things. And if someone's trying to like market that to you, like that's, red flag for sure. Not one person is the same. Not one person's gut is the same. Your gut is pretty incredible. And, looking at, you know, just someone's DNA can make up like the differences in their gut and stuff like that. So I definitely think, a lot of education when they ask those questions, and I kind of lean back towards like, well, these are actually some tests that we can do and figure out like what your triggers are and those kinds of things, kind of like we alluded to before. But yeah, that's definitely a fallacy.
I mean, if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I did this cleanse or detox and I feel good, great.
Great.
I would say the vast majority of times it will not last.
And do you feel great because you're just not eating anything? You know, you're not putting any triggers in your body. Like, so I guess there's something to that. But the minute you go back, it's back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, usually we're seeing people who are having symptoms for a long time, months and years. And I mean, I don't want it to take years to get better, certainly, but we're usually not going to get a quick fix. We have to, number one, figure out what's going on, why you're having symptoms, and then we need to figure out, you know, what tests we want to do. Does that treatment involve cleaning up the diet? You know, only cleaning up the diet. Does it involve cleaning up the diet plus supplements, or, you know, potentially, you know, some medications that we can use, and, you know, potentially different peptides we can use as well. But it's just a complex for a reason. It's just important, and it influences a lot of different areas around the body.
Pretty incredible speaker at one of the last conferences I went to, A4M, and just about how different bacteria levels in the gut was found to have or predispose people for developing COVID or not, autism or not, cancer or not. And so, and simply by, you know, reintroducing those specific bacteria back into the gut was actually like healing people. There's so much research on this topic right now. And I don't think there's really like one definitive right now answer for a lot of those things, but it's such a powerful organ and such a powerful part of medicine that like it truly could determine like someone's ability, you know, to be born with autism or not. And, you know, a lot of research on like fecal transplants and how that's reversing some of those things, and Alzheimer's and a lot of that stuff. So if that is the type of impact that just like the balance of your gut can create, it's just like, whoa, that's huge. I mean, that's like reevaluating every piece of medicine.
Not to, I just wanted to mention it before we forget about it, but I don't think any, you know, gut health talk could be complete if we don't talk about antibiotics. We learned a lot about antibiotics. We can tell you, I don't know, It's a lot of different classes, a lot of different uses for them, and they definitely have their purpose. But however, they're not benign. They're treating one thing, but they're also going to wipe out a lot of other bacteria, and usually it's going to be in the gut, and it can take a long time, and take a long time for that gut bacteria to fully recover.
Yeah.
And usually it, we don't really don't realize kind of the damage that we are doing or have done until it's potentially months or years down the road. Especially for people who are, getting multiple antibiotics in a year, or many, course of antibiotics. That one didn't work. Let's do another one, and then it's just
We'll change it to a stronger one. We'll do a longer one. Yeah.
Oh, that diarrhea that you were having, it's it's normal. Okay.
Here's another antibiotic for that problem that we just created with an antibiotic. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, they have their place.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. However, I think it
should be caution.
A
lot of caution.
It should be a top concern.
Yeah.
Evaluating, do we truly need it? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, okay.
Yeah.
There's things we can do. Again, all the stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
Paying attention to the diet while we're on it, after we're after we're off the antibiotics, fiber, prebiotics. I mean, it that should also be talked about as well. Not just here's the antibiotic and let me know if we're not getting better. So I just wanted to
definitely no, that's huge. I'm glad you brought it up because we're definitely really good at prescribing antibiotics.
Mm-hmm. And they're cheap and readily available and
they're a quick fix and people really appreciate that prescription. That's for sure. We just don't necessarily understand the repercussions sometimes.
Yeah, that's well said.
Most of our patients, just to be honest, like they come in, not always are they talking about, their gut. A lot of times they're talking about their skin or their hormones or their mental health or, something else. And we do this comprehensive kind of consultation where we're going to ask you guys about, your hormones and how your symptoms are feeling, like all these different things. We're going to get your labs. Not always is it like the number one, thing we try necessarily. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you always just have to have diarrhea and constipation and bloating, to kind of look into your gut health. So I think that's like the first thing. If someone's ever like, hey, I'm just curious, or I've been having these symptoms and I've tried, a lot of antidepressants or a lot of, antacids or a lot of, just like really anything, or I'm on all these hormones and I do feel better, but I don't feel 100% quite yet. Like that would be an appropriate next step. And it's about just like evaluating what it looks like, healing that gut layer, supporting it with the appropriate supplements and nutrition, and then hopefully like finding something that they can sustain. Right. So it's not always the first thing we do. Sometimes it is, but there's never like a right or wrong reason to go down that path. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, truth be told, that's not the first thing I'm asking about, because a lot of the times they, either new patients or, patients are coming to us and they're like, hey, I'm worried about my hormones. I want to get those checked, maybe, help with body composition, weight loss, whatever. And we can check hormones and it's an easy lab. It's a comprehensive lab test, but we can look at thyroid. We can look at hormones, and optimizing those. So a lot of times, we do start with that route, but as we, start to work with them more and it turns out, hey, I'm feeling better, like these symptoms are better. I think those hormones are making a huge difference, but I'm still having, or I'm now I'm noticing, hey, this bloating is, I'm kind of over it. I guess I've been dealing with it too long. I want to get that looked at. So a lot of the times it's not our first thing we're treating, but it should be very high on the list. And I think just educating people and patients and just making them aware of, hey, again, these symptoms are not normal, and we have a lot of different tests and treatments available at our disposal, and we can absolutely, get to the bottom of what's going on and treat the underlying cause. I think when more patients just become aware of that, we're probably going to be seeing it a lot more.
Yeah. It's a normal
because it's-
conversation. It's a
absolutely.
very, like, just like anything else, it's a very normal conversation. It's unfortunately one of the things that isn't quick. We can put people on testosterone and progesterone and they're just like, wow, my sleep's better. Wow,
Yeah.
my energy's back. Like
And
pretty quick.
Weeks. I mean, days,
Yeah, it's
potentially.
just, the thing with guys is it does take us some time. And so it's a patient kind of thing. You just gotta like stick with it and be consistent, but we're confident that like, it's kind of like it took years for your gut to get here. It's not going to get better in a day. It's like your chronic shoulder pain. Like you're not going to be able to just go to physical therapy once. So yeah, I definitely think like be patient with gut health, but it should be a normal conversation with your provider. It should be something that we can look into and really develop a very individualized treatment plan for you. And no doubt will make a difference in your life in some way. What degree? Kind of depends on where you're sitting, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's well said.
Anything else you want to add on gut you think would be helpful for people to kind of understand or think about, take home?
Any symptom is worth bringing up. Whether it's, I get, occasional diarrhea or occasional nausea here or there, but it might not feel like a big deal. I mean, that should be brought up, just like the person who's having severe symptoms or years and years of symptoms. Like I don't think you need to have I don't think it needs to be, oh, my symptoms aren't bad enough, I don't need to bring it up. I mean, I would encourage anyone just to mention it. And how deep we want to dive, I think, is dependent on a lot of different factors, I guess. But I would just encourage anybody to at least bring it up. Have that conversation. They once we start to dive into it a little bit more, it might turn out, hey, not only am I having these symptoms, but maybe those symptoms are contributing to other symptoms as well. And pretty soon, we've kind of tied it all together, and we're just able to get to the bottom of what's going on. I guess that's something I'd want to mention as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think it's super helpful for a lot of people to hear who may have not even thought about gut health, truly. Yeah. Well, I think that's, I mean, we could go into this way more. Like this could be a 5-hour episode. But I think we digress a little bit and we'll let everybody kind of.
I think so. And I think I'm looking forward to like just the more patients we're working with, the more tests we do, the more results we get and treatment plans. I think in the next, months and years, I think you and I are just going to learn a lot more.
Absolutely.
Through trial and error, and just simply this is a field of medicine that is constantly evolving, and we're learning new things all the time, and we just need to be adaptable. So I'm excited to continue learning as well.
Yeah, same. All right. Well, I guess that's end of this first episode. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Yes, thank you.